Hello and welcome to this comparison video today. We're going to be looking at the different types of guitar supports that you've got available for your classical guitar. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is the Gitano. It's this little thing here, which is essentially just 3 suction cups. I don't know if you can see this properly. 3 suction cups on this side, which allow you to stick that to the side of your guitar. This will then fold out and it gives you a nice platform to rest on your leg. You can see straight away one of the benefits of this thing is that it's so small. Okay, so if you're wanting something you can sort of cart around with you, stick in your guitar case. I've even seen people leave these on their guitar and put it in the case at the same time. So it's really handy if portability is something that you're looking for. In terms of adjustability, unfortunately with this one you've only really got one moving part. So it'll fold out, it'll fold in, and that's really all you've got. Other supports, as you'll see later on in the video, you've got other options, so you can adjust the height, you can adjust the angles and all sorts. But with this one, the major benefit of this is going to be that it's so small and so portable. Okay, so just keep that in mind. I'm going to show you how this attaches to the guitar. So I've got this here. All we want to try and do is find a nice place on the side where we can stick that, and it should stay attached. You can see there, applying just what I call like a normal amount of pressure is going to give you a decent position. I should mention as well with all of these supports, I wouldn't expect you to put loads of pressure on the instrument. I wouldn't expect you to be pushing down too heavily. If you do that, the chances are they're all going to fail at some point. But if you're sensible with these things, just putting a normal amount of pressure on, you shouldn't have any trouble at all. So that is our Gitano. You can see there on the side, seems pretty happy. Yeah. Takes a little bit of pressure, no problem at all. But like mentioned at the beginning of the video, there's not a great deal of adjustability with this one. The only thing you can really change is where you place it. So if you need a bit more height, we can come a bit further down, and that's going to give us a little bit more height here. If you want it lower, you've got to move it closer to the centre of the guitar and put it in there, and you'll get a much lower position. The only other thing I found that you can do with this is that you can twist the angle a little bit. So if you're wanting the guitar to lean back towards you, you can tilt that inwards, stick it down, and that should give you a bit more angle. If you want it straighter, of course, you can just straighten it up. So you can find a place that's usually quite comfortable with this thing. So I'm just going to put it on straight again, like that. Okay, and that's pretty much all you've got. You can't adjust it any further than that. That's the lot. If that's all you need, brilliant. That's a really good choice. In terms of aesthetics, then this thing, if you're looking for something that's transparent, that's just you're not going to see it very much, this is a really good choice. It's very discreet, so you're not going to notice that on the side of your guitar, unlike some of the other things that we're going to look at later on today. Right, next up is the Ergoplay. So as you can see with this one, it's a slightly larger version of the Gitano. So it's got the 2 stickers at the top and the suction cup at the bottom as well. Now there's a little bit more adjustability with this one. I'll talk about the suction cups first of all. You can see on there that you can actually move these backwards or forwards to give yourself a slightly better angle. So if you wanted it to be sort of more towards the inside, we can turn them that way. A little bit flatter if you need it on top. Okay, and it's the same on the other side as well. We can move this backwards and forwards to make sure we've got the optimum sort of position. Okay, so I'll leave that there. On the other side, we've got the arm. This is going to adjust your height and your angle, so you can push this down about as far as there, and it will also go up about this far. So there's a little bit of range on there, and if you need this to go higher than the Gitano, I think is more possible with this thing. Okay. The other advantage you've got with the Ergoplay is that you can angle that to be wherever you need it to be. So if you want to tilt your guitar back towards you, you can do it. Likewise, you can have it more straight. The choice is yours, and I'm sure you'll find somewhere in there that you feel comfortable. Okay, so let's put this on the guitar and we'll see how it works. So I've adjusted this so that it's going to fit this guitar quite nicely. I've put the suction cups in the best possible place, and I'll show you how you might be able to move this up and down and change the height as well. So I'm going to put this on where I believe I want it to be, which is about there. You can see this is a reasonably high position for a guitar player. This happens to be my preference. I know a lot of people out there don't like it to be too high, so you can adjust this at the bottom, bring the neck of the guitar down a little bit more, and that's going to give you perhaps somewhere that's a bit more comfortable for you if you like it to be a little bit more on the low side, a little bit flatter. As we mentioned, you can change the angle with this thing to make sure that it's actually sitting in the right sort of place. Now it naturally sits a little bit like this, if you can see that. So that's where it's suggesting that you play with the guitar tilted back towards you. You can straighten up a little bit, but when we do that, you may be able to see down here that it's going to put a little bit of pressure on that suction cup, and that's when you might find it coming unstuck. So again, you've got to be operating within the capability of the guitar support. It will only do so much. The rest of it is up to you to be a bit more sensible with it. So I'm going to stick it about there, so it's leaning back towards me, and I'm just going to raise it up again, because as I say, that's where I would prefer it to be. And it's about there. Okay, so that's your Ergoplay. Like with the other ones, very secure. I could, if I want to, let that go. That's not going to be too much of a problem at all. I'm not suggesting that you do that, but it's possible. It's not going to come off. It's fairly secure. Again, as long as you're not doing anything too wild. So if you're trying to really pull forwards or to put pressure on this side and put pressure on the suction cups, I mean, you may get a bit of difficulty then, but by and large you should be absolutely fine with something like this. And the thing I should say about all of the suction cup versions of these guitar supports is that they only work well on gloss finish guitars. So if your guitar is like a high gloss varnish, some sort of lacquer, then great, it's going to work really, really well. It's not going to damage the finish and you'll be fine. If you've got a French polished instrument, first of all, it doesn't stick as well. So that's worth bearing in mind, that you may not want to get one of these things. It's not going to be the best thing for your instrument. The other thing you find is that it can damage the finish as well. So if you're to put it on and off, you're actually going to cause a little bit of damage to the side of your guitar. There is a workaround, which is to get these clear strips, and you can put them on. They're fine, they do work. They mean that you're not going to actually damage the French polish itself, but you can't get them off. So you've actually got arguably a bigger problem in that you've got a big square of clear plastic on there which you can't really get rid of. So you're just damaging your French polish finish in a slightly different way. So these, like I say, I would only really recommend these for gloss finish guitars. If you've got a French polish guitar or an oil finish or just something that's more matte, I wouldn't really go down that road, because it's not going to be the best for your guitar. Okay. So we've talked about adjustability. We've talked about adjustability. We've talked about the stability of this thing as well. You know, so it's quite strong. I can't see that causing any problems at all. The only thing I would really think about with this one is the aesthetic. So it's a lot larger than the Gitano, for example. So when you've got it on your knee, you can see it more clearly. So it's one of these things that some people like it, some people don't, and it's personal preference, isn't it, at the end of the day? But of course, it's worth consideration. Okay, so that is all we need to talk about with your Ergoplay for now. Okay, so next up is the Guitarlift. Okay, this is I say fairly new invention. It's been around for a few years now, and it's what, 2019. Will feel like a few years at least. I got one of these a year or two ago. I went for the transparent version, which, as you can see or can't see, it's very clear. You're not going to notice this thing on the back of your guitar at all in concert. That for me was the reason why I wanted to actually go down this road and get one of these things in the first place. Just to make it a bit more discreet. So that's it there. I'll try and hold it up so you can see on this one as well. You've got the 4 suction cups on the back, and these are, I think, a little bit larger than the Ergoplay. So you put those side by side, we can see there, I hope, the size of the suction cup, and you've got 4 of them versus the 3, so actually it should hold your guitar up a little bit more stably than the Ergoplay and the Gitano as well. We're going to just attach this to the back so that you can see where this goes in a moment, and the only other thing to mention is that you've got loads of little holes drilled up and down this thing to the sides. You can take these suction cups off and literally place them wherever you think you might need it to go. So that's it there. Up and down, put it where you need it, and then just tighten it back up. So it's actually quite fast to work with as well. However, once you've got your position, I don't imagine that you're going to want to do too much messing around. It just sticks on the back, and you're sorted. Okay, let's put it on the back, and then we'll see how it goes. Okay, hopefully you can see this from where you are. I've got this on the back. All you need to do is align it where you want it. Make sure your suction cup tabs are facing outwards so you can actually get the thing off as well when you need to get it off. Similar to all the other suction cup devices, this one's really good for Glockenspiel guitars, not great for French polish. Don't use it on that if you can help it. And same with like a natural or an oiled or a matte finish. Probably not the best thing to use. So there we go. That's on the back there. So it's probably a little bit low, so what I'm going to try and do is just move this thing down right about there. And you can see that's much higher. It's a bit high on this right hand side, so we're going to want to do is make a change. Let's try it that way. Okay, much better. So again, you've got the neck of the guitar quite high up, and you just need to get used to changing that contraption on the back, placing it where you think it needs to go. Bit of trial and error, I'm sure you'll get that. Now this thing, I should mention that there's a bit missing actually on mine. This fell off, and this is something that I think is worth actually talking about in the review, because if you're gigging with this thing, I mean, it's huge. Yeah, so if you've got this and you're trying to carry it around along with your guitar case and suitcase and book bag and whatever else you might have with you, it's actually quite a difficult thing to gig with, unless you've got somewhere you can store it and you feel like you've got space to use. The Gitano thing, chuck it in your guitar case and it's fine, you're never going to lose it. So there are obviously drawbacks to something like this. As good as it is at sticking on the back of the guitar and keeping your guitar in position, it is a bit of a pain to actually cart around, so it's worth considering. There should be a little piece of foam on the side here. Now, unfortunately with mine, I was playing a gig not too long ago. I put all my stuff away, put my guitar lifts on the bag, and because I'm sort of walking around with guitar in one hand, bag in another, and something on my shoulder, the bit of rubber that sits on there, the bit of foam, came off. I hadn't known about it, just kind of fell off and it was gone, and I'll never see that again. So it's worth bearing in mind that that's one of the drawbacks for these things, is that it's not all put together, it's not all sort of glued on, and these things happen. You can lose these things. So just bear that in mind, that it's not that easy to cart around, and there are potential issues there. Okay. With that being said, it feels really stable. I quite like this thing in terms of getting you into a good position. That feels quite nice, and I feel like this isn't going to go anywhere. I can put a fair bit of pressure on, and I'm not going to have any sort of problem at all. Okay, so I quite like this thing. Adjustability, great. Aesthetics, if what you're looking for is something that's quite discreet, then again, really, really good. In terms of adjustability, you've got lots of choice, so again, for that reason, it is decent. The only real drawback, as I say, is the fact that it's quite large. It's quite difficult to move around with. So that is just worth considering if that's a problem for you. Okay, next up is the Sagework Atlas. I'll just put this here so you can see what's going on from a few different angles. So there we go. You've got quite a lot of adjustability with this one. It's really similar to the Ergoplay in terms of design. In fact, I'll just put these side by side so you can see them. I've got them there. So the Atlas is much smaller in terms of total size. In in terms of adjustability, it's still got the same sort of things happening. So we've got the large arm on the one side, moves up and down. So that can go up reasonably high as well. So that I don't think you're probably going to need to go that high. I certainly don't. And it also does compress quite small. So if you need it to be quite small, you can do that too. And I put mine back about in the middle, thereabouts. I think that's where I like it. The thing you get with the Atlas and the Umbra as well is this thing on the end, this rear sort of arm, if you want to call it that. This is also adjustable, and this is something you don't really get on the Ergoplay. Although similar in design, they just didn't add that feature, but it's something you can use with the Atlas and with the Umbra from Sagework. So that is quite useful, I think. The other thing which will become more apparent when we actually put this onto the guitar is that you've also got this bottom bit here which will twist backwards and forwards. What I like is the fact that if you put that straight on, you can see it's dead straight. This will go backwards and it will also go forwards. So if you're left-handed, it works just as well. You're not going to have any difficulty putting this on, which I have found if you were to use the Ergoplay. There is a problem there because, as you mentioned, the rear suction cup, it's angled in a certain direction. So you'd have to order a specially left-handed version if they do such a thing. But with this one, it's absolutely fine either way. The other thing to mention in terms of adjustability, you've got these things on the top. So these are where your magnets are actually going to clip on, and they adjust in different angles, so you can get a nice fit on the guitar that's quite flush, and that's really important because if they're coming off at a bit of an angle, that magnet's not going to hold as well. So we need that to be quite flexible so you can put it into the right sort of position. You can bend this one backwards and forwards, so again this is just another adjustability term, another adjustability feature. That'll go really flat, you're never ever going to need to use it like that at all. But up here you can see you've got the full range, and again you're probably not going to want to fold it in on itself, although it can be quite useful if you want to do that for travel purposes. That might go in your case, it's quite small. So all in all, loads of adjustability on this really useful little gadget, and I think the next thing to do is just to show you what this goes like on the guitar. Okay, so here we go. This is the Sagework Atlas magnetic support, just sticking that on the side. Really convenient, really easy to use. It just goes on and off like that. As you're probably thinking, magnets, it's a little bit iffy, are they stronger suction cups, will it fail at mid-performance? I found this to be really quite stable. It's never caused me any problems at all. You can really hold on to that if you want to. That's not going to go anywhere at all, which is fantastic. I've seen people hold these up again with just the Sagework and let go of the right hand. I'm not going to do that just because this is my guitar. I just don't want to risk it at all. But it is possible. I've seen it happen. Google it if you want it. But there we go. That's the Sagework in the right sort of position for me. Again, quite high up. That's only on the sort of middle setting. This would go much higher if I wanted it to. I might just show you how that works so you can really see. Same with this one. Just pushing that out like that. That will go incredibly high, and that's way too high for me, but it is possible if that's something you want to do. Likewise, it will go really small. Just push those down. They're really quick and really easy to adjust. So if you wanted a much lower position, you can do that within a matter of seconds. So that's fine. I'm just going to put this back to where I like it pretty much. So around about there. Again, just sort of flatten this out. Now what you should really do with this is that you've actually got some adjustments in there, and you can tighten these when you're about to play. Just tighten the Allen key things in here. This is going to keep it nice and secure. If you leave these loose, they're prone to wobble, and it might not be the best idea in mid-performance. So just to be incredibly safe, you're going to know what position you want it to be in. You may as well fix it there when you're happy. But that's it there. As we mentioned, this thing also adjusts at the bottom, so you can tilt this further forwards or backwards if you want it to be flatter. You can. It's just purely for comfort, more so than anything else. And tilt it backwards, I can really push that flat if I wanted to. So that's flat on my leg now, but that's way too low, of course. Somewhere in the middle feels pretty good. Okay, so in terms of adjustability, this thing is fantastic. Stability, as we mentioned, really good too. You're not going to need to do, well, you're not going to struggle at all with the stability of this thing. And in terms of how it looks, again, this is something which I find when people are choosing between the Sagework Atlas and the Sagework Umbra, they tend to go for this one just because it looks really quite nice. That's kind of one of the major selling points. It's a similar rosewood effect to the side of most classical guitars, so that's just something that you may want to, it may bother you, it may not. The Umbra, just so you know, is a black version of this, similar to the Ergoplay, similar to the Gitano, and that's really it. It's just purely aesthetic. They both do the same job. Okay. So before I forget, there is also one more thing to mention with your Atlas, and that is the fact that you have to install these little magnets on the inside of your guitar. Now they are fixed semi-permanently. You can get them out. It's fairly easy to get them out, but once it's on, you probably won't want to. If you're going to use this for a long time, just leave them in. You don't have to take them in and out all of the time. The instructions in the little booklet are really useful, and you can mess around with the positions inside the guitar before you fix them, permanently or semi-permanently. If you do want to get those out, all you've got to do is pull the little strip that comes with the magnet, and it should release, and then you can take them out of your guitar, and then you can put them in a different one if you're changing instruments. I leave mine in just because that's what you're supposed to do, really. It just helps me to get that one off really quick. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope you found this video to be quite useful for you if you're choosing between different guitar supports at the moment. We've covered 4 in total. There are other ones, but these are the main 4 types, if you want to call them that. I've had the Gitano, which is the small little device that sticks on the side. The Ergoplay, the slightly larger one, also a suction cup version. There's the new Guitarlift, which is the large plate that sticks on the back. And we also had the Sagework Atlas, which is the magnetic guitar support, similar in design to the Ergoplay. I'm hoping you found it useful. As I say, if you've got any questions or anything, please do leave questions and comments in the comments area. I'll try and get back to you if I possibly can. In addition to that, I guess, just check out our website. We do have some of these available on the Classical Guitar Academy website, so if you're interested, please do check us out and support us. And I hope to see you again soon. Thank you.